Video essay question 4, digestion. Describe the sequence of events when you are very hungry and enter a house you smell delicious food cooking. Include both nervous system and digestive system processes. Well, actually, digestion begins in the mouth. The process of digestion starts well before the food enters the stomach. Whenever we smell, see, taste, or even imagine a tasty snack, our salivary glands, which are located under the tongue and near the lower jaw, begin producing slobber. This flow of slobber is set in motion by a brain reflex that is triggered when we sense food or even think about eating. In response to this sensory stimulation, the brain sends impulses through the nerves that control the salivary glands, telling them to prepare for a meal. As the teeth tear and chop the food, the saliva moistens it, which makes it easy to swallow. A digestive enzyme called amylase, which is found in saliva, starts to break down some of the carbohydrates, starches, and sugars in the food even before it leaves the mouth. Swallowing, which is accomplished by muscle movements in the tongue and mouth, moves the food into the throat and then to the pharynx. And then the pharynx, which is a passageway for food and air, it's about 5 inches long and it's a flexible flap of tissue called, it's a flexible flap of tissue which is called the epiglottis. This is where the flexivity closes over the windpipe, and when we swallow, it prevents us from choking. So your epiglottis is the flap that prevents us from choking. From the throat, the food travels down a muscular tube in the chest called the esophagus. Waves of muscle contraction cause peristalsis, forces the food down through the esophagus to the stomach. A person normally isn't aware of the movements, they're very subtle, of the esophagus, the stomach, and the intestines that takes place as the food passes through the digestive tract. At the end of the esophagus, a muscular ring called a sphincter allows food to enter the stomach and then squeezes shut to keep the food or fluid from flowing back up into the esophagus. The stomach muscles churn and mix the food with acids and chyme and enzymes, breaking it into much smaller and more digestive pieces. Breaking it down, the acidic environment, which is in your stomach, is needed for the digestion that takes place in the stomach. Glands in the stomach lining produces about 3 quarts of these digestive juices each day. Most substance in the food we eat need further digestion and must travel into the intestine before being absorbed. When it is empty, an adult stomach has a volume of about 1/5 of a cup, but it can expand and hold more than 8 cups of food after a large meal. By the time the food is ready to leave the stomach, it has been processed into a thick liquid called chyme. A walnut sized muscular tube at the outlet of the stomach called the pylorus keeps chyme in the stomach until it reaches the right consistency to pass into the small intestine. Chyme is then squirted down into the small intestine, where digestion of food continues so the body can absorb the nutrients into the bloodstream. The small intestine is made up of three parts. Those three parts are the duodenum, which is a C shape, is the first part. The jejunum, which is the cord midsection, and the ileum, which is the final section that leads into the large intestine. The inner wall of the small intestine is covered with millions of microscopic finger-like projections called villi. The villi are the vehicles through which the nutrients can be absorbed into the body. Then we have the liver. The liver, which is located under the rib cage in the right upper part of the abdomen. The gallbladder, which is hidden just below the liver, and the pancreas, which is beneath the stomach, are all part of the alimentary canal. But these organs are still important for a healthy digestive system. The pancreas produces the enzymes that helps digest proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. It also makes a substance that neutralizes the stomach acid. The liver produces bile, which helps the body absorb fat. Bile is stored in the gallbladder, which is stored there until it's needed. These enzymes of bile travel through special channels called ducts that's directly into the small intestines, where they help to break down food as well. The liver also plays a major role in handling the processing of the nutrients. These nutrients are carried into the liver and the blood from the small intestines. The large intestines, which the food comes from after they have gone through all three parts of the small intestines, the food that has not been broken down and digested, and some water travels through the large intestines through the bile that prevents food from returning to the small intestine. By the time the food reaches the large intestines, the work of absorbing nutrients is nearly finished. The large intestine's main function is to remove water from the undigested matter and form a solid waste that can be excreted. The large intestines is made up of three parts as well. The cecum is a porch at the beginning of the large intestines that joins the small intestines to the large intestines. This is a transitional area which allows food to travel from the small intestines to the large intestines. The appendix, which is a small hollow finger-like pouch, it hangs off the cecum. Doctors believe the appendix is left over from a previous time in human evolution. It no longer appears to be useful to the digestive process, but it still is there. The colon, it extends from the cecum up to the right side of the abdomen, across the upper abdomen, and then break down the left side of the abdomen. The colon has three parts. It has the ascending colon and transverse colon, which absorbs water and salts, and the descending colon, which holds the resorting waste. Bacteria in the colon help to digest the remaining food products. And then last but not least, the rectum. The rectum is where the feces are stored until they leave the digestive system through the anus as a bowel movement. So that is the process of the digestion system, where it starts, the different parts, the accessory glands, which all play a part in how food is digested. And we have found out that it does not begin in the stomach, that the process starts actually in the mouth. All right, thank you.